I'm Jeremy Grantham. I'm 86 years old, and I've spent over 50 years analyzing asset bubbles. I predicted the dot-com crash in 2000. I warned about the housing collapse in 2008 before it devastated millions of families. And right now, with over $100 billion under management at my firm, I'm going to tell you something that will probably make you angry. Buying property in 2026 is one of the worst financial decisions you can make. And I don't say that lightly. Back in 1989, I bought a house in Boston at what I thought was a reasonable price. The market felt strong. Everyone was buying. Interest rates seemed manageable. And then the real estate market crashed. For the next 5 years, I watched that property lose value month after month. I was underwater on my mortgage, stuck in a house I couldn't sell without taking a massive loss. That mistake taught me something crucial about real estate bubbles. They always feel different when you're in them. They always feel like this time it's different, and they always end the same way, with people who bought at the peak losing years of their financial lives. So, if you're thinking about buying property this year, if you're being told by real estate agents that you need to buy now before you get priced out forever, if you're feeling pressure because everyone around you is buying, stop, because what I'm about to show you could save you from the biggest financial mistake of your life. If this resonates with you, hit that like button right now. Let me tell you what's actually happening in the real estate market right now, and why 2026 is setting up to be one of the worst years in modern history to buy property. We're living through the biggest real estate bubble in American history, bigger than 2006, bigger than the 1980s, bigger than anything we've seen. And most people have no idea because they're being fed a steady diet of lies by an industry that profits when you buy. Here are the facts. The median home price in America is now over 7 times the median household income. Historically, that ratio has been 3 to 4 times. We're at double the historical norm. In major cities, it's even worse. In San Francisco, the average home costs 12 times median income. In Los Angeles, 9 times. In New York, 8 times. These numbers are completely detached from economic reality. Let me put this in perspective. In 2000, during the dot-com bubble, the stock market was overvalued by about 70%. That felt insane at the time. Everyone knew it couldn't last. And when it crashed, it wiped out trillions of dollars. Right now, real estate is overvalued by a similar amount, maybe more. And just like 2000, everyone is telling you it's different this time. They say there's a housing shortage. They say millennials are buying. They say remote work changed everything. They say inflation means real estate is a hedge. I've heard every excuse, and they're all wrong. Here's what they're not telling you. Mortgage rates are still near generational highs. The average 30-year mortgage rate is hovering around 6 to 7%. For most of the 2010s, rates were 3 to 4%. That difference doesn't sound like much, but on a $400,000 home, the difference between a 3% mortgage and a 7% mortgage is over $1,000 per month. That's $12,000 a year. Over 30 years, that's $360,000 in extra interest. You're paying nearly the price of the house, again, just in interest. And here's the kicker. Home prices didn't come down when rates went up. In a rational market, when borrowing costs double, prices should fall to compensate. That didn't happen. Why? Because the market is being propped up by speculation, by institutional investors buying properties as investments, by people who bought in the 2010s refusing to sell because they're locked into low-rate mortgages. This isn't a healthy market. This is a market on life support. And when it breaks, and it will break, the people who bought in 2026 are going to be the ones holding the bag. Let me ask you something honest. Are you feeling pressure to buy a house, even though the numbers don't make sense? If you're lying to yourself about affordability, convincing yourself you can handle a payment you know is too high, or rushing into the biggest purchase of your life because you're scared of being priced out, comment your specific struggle below, and finish with, "But I will win this fight." Sometimes admitting the truth is the first step, and your comment might help someone else facing the same pressure. Now, let me tell you why you might think I'm wrong. You're going to hear a lot of arguments about why you should buy anyway. Let me address them one by one because these are the same arguments people made in 2006, and they were wrong then too. Argument 1, I'm throwing away money on rent. This is the most common thing I hear. People say, Jeremy, I'm paying $2,000 a month in rent, and I'm building no equity. I should buy, so at least I'm building wealth. Here's the truth. You're not throwing away money on rent. You're paying for housing. That's it. When you buy a house, you're also throwing away money. You're throwing it away on interest. You're throwing it away on property taxes. You're throwing it away on insurance, on maintenance, on repairs. In the first 10 years of a mortgage, the vast majority of your payment goes to interest, not principal. On a $400,000 loan at 7%, you'll pay over $2,000 a month just in interest for the first several years. That's not building equity. That's gone forever, just like rent. Plus, when you own, you're responsible for everything that breaks: the roof, the furnace, the plumbing, the foundation. Renters don't pay for that. Owners do. I've run the numbers 1,000 times. In today's market, in most cities, renting is financially superior to buying for at least the next 3 to 5 years. You keep your flexibility, you avoid catastrophic losses when the market corrects, and you can invest the difference between your rent and what a mortgage would cost. Argument 2, there's a housing shortage, so prices can't fall. People love this one. They say, Jeremy, we're not building enough houses. There aren't enough homes for all the people who want them. Supply and demand means prices have to stay high. Wrong. There is no housing shortage, there's an affordability crisis. America has more housing units per capita than almost any time in history. What we have is a mismatch. We have a lot of expensive houses and not enough cheap houses. We have a lot of investment properties sitting empty or being used as short-term rentals. We have a lot of people who want to buy but can't afford current prices. That's not a shortage. That's a market failure. And when affordability gets bad enough, one of two things happens. Either prices fall to meet what people can actually pay, or demand collapses and prices fall anyway. We're already seeing the beginning of this. Housing starts are down. Builders are cutting prices. Inventory is rising in many markets. The shortage narrative is falling apart in real time. Argument 3. I need to buy now before I get priced out forever. This is fear talking. This is the same fear that drove people to buy in 2005 and 2006. They thought, if I don't buy now, I'll never be able to afford a house. And then the market crashed and those same houses were 30 to 40% cheaper 2 years later. Let me be very clear. You will not be priced out forever. Real estate is cyclical. It always has been. Prices go up, prices go down. Right now, they're up, way up. And when they come down, and they will come down, the people who waited will be able to buy at much better prices with much better terms. I've watched this cycle repeat for 50 years. It happened in the 1970s. It happened in the 1980s. It happened in the 1990s. It happened in 2008. And it's going to happen again. The only question is, when? And my best guess, based on every signal I'm seeing, is sometime between 2026 and 2028. Which means if you buy in 2026, you're buying at the peak. Now, here's what you should do instead. If you're not buying property this year, what should you do with your money? Where should you live? How do you build wealth without real estate? I'm going to give you a plan. 7 specific steps for 2026, if you're smart enough not to buy into this bubble. Step 1. January and February. Lock in a long-term rental. If you're renting, this is the time to secure your housing for the next 2 to 3 years. Don't sign a month-to-month lease. Don't leave yourself vulnerable to rent increases every year. Find a landlord who will give you a 2 or 3 year lease at a fixed rate. Yes, this exists. I've seen it done. Offer to pay slightly above market rent in exchange for a longer term. Let's say market rent is $2,000 a month. Offer $2,100 a month for a guaranteed 3-year lease with no increases. That extra $100 a month, or $200 a year, buys you stability and protection against rent inflation. Meanwhile, the person who bought a comparable home is paying $3,500 a month on their mortgage, plus $400 in property taxes, plus $200 in insurance, plus $100 in maintenance. That's $4,200 a month. You're paying $2,100. You're saving $2,100 every single month. Over 3 years, that's $75,000. And you're going to invest every penny of that difference. Step 2. March and April. Build your dry powder fund. This is not an emergency fund. This is not retirement savings. This is a separate fund with one purpose: to buy assets when the market crashes. If you're saving $2,100 a month by renting instead of buying, put $1,500 of that into your dry powder fund every month. In March, you save $1,500. In April, another $1,500. By the end of April, you have $3,000 in cash sitting in a high-yield savings account earning 4 to 5% interest while you wait. This money is untouchable. You don't spend it on vacations. You don't spend it on a new car. You don't spend it on anything except the opportunity that's coming. And the opportunity is coming. When real estate crashes, and it will, you're going to have cash ready to buy at 30 to 40% discounts. While everyone else is panicking and trying to sell, you'll be one of the few people with money to buy. That's how you build serious wealth. Not by buying high like everyone else, but by waiting and buying low. Subscribe to this channel if you want strategies based on 50 years of real market experience. No hype, just what works. Step 3. May through July. Invest the rest in productive assets. You're saving $2,100 a month by renting instead of buying. $1,500 goes to your dry powder fund. What about the other $600? This is where you build wealth while you wait. Put that $600 a month into a diversified portfolio of stocks and bonds. Not speculative garbage, not meme stocks, not crypto. I'm talking about boring, reliable dividend-paying companies and index funds. Here's what I'd do with $600 a month. I'd put $400 into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund. These funds own the 500 largest companies in America. Over the long term, they return about 10% per year. They're as close to a sure thing as you'll find in investing. I'd put $150 into international stocks. The whole world doesn't revolve around America. There are great companies in Europe, Asia, and emerging markets trading at much cheaper valuations than U.S. stocks. And I'd put $50 into bonds or bond funds. Bonds are boring. They don't grow much, but they're stable and they pay income. When stocks crash, bonds usually hold up. That's $600 a month. Over 12 months, that's $7,200 invested. At a 10% average return in 10 years, that grows to over $120,000. Just from investing the money you're saving by not buying a house. Meanwhile, the person who bought the house is still paying down a mortgage on a property that's worth less than what they paid. Step 4. August and September. Upskill and increase your earning power. Here's something most people don't think about when they buy a house. A mortgage locks you in place. It makes you less flexible. It makes it harder to take risks with your career. If you have a $3,500 a month mortgage payment, you can't afford to quit your job and take a better opportunity in another city. You can't afford to go back to school. You can't afford to start a business. You're stuck. But if you're renting for $2,100 a month and you've been saving aggressively, you have options. So in August and September, I'd invest in myself. I'd take an online course to learn a high-income skill. Coding, data analysis, digital marketing, sales, project management. Something that makes me more valuable in the job market. These courses cost $500 to $2,000. That sounds like a lot, but it's nothing compared to what you'd lose buying a house at the peak. And if that course helps you earn an extra $10,000 or $20,000 per year, it's the best investment you'll ever make. I'd also start building a side income stream. Freelancing, consulting, tutoring, anything that uses skills I already have. Even an extra $500 a month from side work adds up. Over a year, that's $6,000. Over 10 years, if you invest it, that's over $100,000. The point is, when you're not burdened by a massive mortgage, you can invest in growth. You can take intelligent risks. You can build wealth faster. Step 5, October. Watch the market signals. By October, you've been executing this plan for 9 months. You've locked in a long-term rental, you've built up your dry powder fund, you're investing consistently, you've increased your skills and your income. Now it's time to watch what's happening in the real estate market. And I'll tell you what I'm watching. I'm watching inventory levels. When inventory starts rising fast, when you see more and more homes sitting on the market for 60, 90, 120 days without selling, that's a signal. The market is softening. I'm watching price cuts. When you start seeing listings that have been reduced once, twice, 3 times, that's a signal. Sellers are getting desperate. I'm watching days on market. The average home in America used to sell in 30 days or less during the peak. When that number starts creeping up to 45, 60, 90 days, that's a signal. Demand is falling. I'm watching mortgage applications. When fewer people are applying for mortgages, that means fewer people are buying. And when fewer people are buying, prices have to come down. And I'm watching foreclosures and defaults. This is the late-stage signal. When people start missing payments, when foreclosures start ticking up, that means the bubble is bursting. We're not there yet, but we're getting close. And when these signals start flashing red, that's when you know your patience is about to pay off. Because the crash is coming. It always does. October is when you become a student of the market. You watch. You wait, you don't panic. You don't get tempted to jump in just because you see one good deal. You stay disciplined. You trust the plan. If you know someone feeling pressure to buy property right now, share this video with them. It might save them from a massive mistake. Step 6, November and December. This is the discipline test. By November, you've been renting while all your friends and family have been buying. You've been saving while they've been spending. You've been patient while they've been panicking about getting priced out. And now the holidays are here. Thanksgiving, Christmas, family gatherings. And everyone is going to ask you the same question. When are you going to buy a house? When are you going to stop renting? When are you going to settle down? And they're going to make you feel like you're making a mistake. They're going to tell you that you're missing out. They're going to show you pictures of their new kitchens and their backyards and their home offices, and you're going to feel the pressure. You're going to feel like maybe you're wrong. Maybe you should just buy something. Maybe you're overthinking this. This is the moment where most people break. This is where they abandon the plan and do what everyone else is doing. Don't. Because here's what they're not telling you. Your friend who just bought that beautiful house? He's paying $4,200 a month, and he's terrified. He's one layoff away from disaster. He can't sleep at night because he's worried about his adjustable rate mortgage or his property taxes going up, or the market crashing. He bought at the peak and deep down, he knows it, but he can't admit it. So he shows you the granite countertops and pretends everything is great. Your cousin who bought that condo downtown, she's underwater already. She paid $500,000 6 months ago, and comparable units in her building are now listed at $465,000. She lost $35,000 in 6 months, but she's not going to tell you that at Thanksgiving dinner. She's going to tell you how great it is to own. Meanwhile, you've saved $18,000 by renting cheaply. You've invested another $7,200 in the stock market. You've built a $15,000 dry powder fund. You've increased your income. You're in a better financial position than any of them, but it doesn't feel that way in November and December because wealth is invisible until it compounds. So here's what you do during the holidays. You smile, you nod. You say, "I'm still looking for the right opportunity." And then you go home and you stick to the plan. You don't compare yourself to people who are making mistakes. You don't let social pressure override financial logic. You stay patient. Because in 12 to 24 months, when the market has corrected and you're buying properties at a 30% discount with the cash you saved, those same people are going to be asking you for advice. November and December are not about celebrating. They're about holding the line. Stay disciplined. We're almost there. Step 7, January 2027. Plan your attack. If you followed this plan for all of 2026, here's where you are by January 2027. You have $18,000 in your dry powder fund from saving $1,500 a month. You have about $8,000 in your investment accounts from contributing $600 a month plus growth. You've increased your income through new skills and side hustles. You're bringing in an extra $500 to $1,000 per month that you weren't making a year ago. And you've stayed patient while the real estate market has started to crack. Now, in January 2027, you don't rush in. You watch. You look for the best opportunities. You look for motivated sellers. You look for properties that have been sitting on the market for months. You look for foreclosures and short sales. And when you find the right property, you make an offer. Not at asking price, at 20 to 30% below asking. And here's the thing. In a normal market, that offer gets laughed at. But in a crashing market, that offer gets accepted because the seller is desperate. They bought in 2024 or 2025 at the peak. They're losing money every month. They just want out. So they take your offer, and you buy a $400,000 house for $280,000. You put down 20%, that's $56,000 from your dry powder fund. Your mortgage is $224,000 at whatever rate you can get, let's say 5% by then. Your monthly payment is about $1,200. Add in taxes and insurance, call it $1,700 a month. That's less than half of what people were paying in 2026 for the same house. You bought low. You bought smart, and now you wait for the market to recover. Because it will recover, it always does. And when it does, your $280,000 house will be worth $400,000 again. Maybe more. You'll have built $120,000 in equity just by being patient. That's the plan. That's how you win in real estate. Not by buying when everyone else is buying, but by waiting, saving, and buying when everyone else is selling. So let me bring this all together. I started by telling you that buying property in 2026 is a huge mistake, and I've spent the last 40 minutes explaining why. The market is in a bubble. Prices are detached from fundamentals. Affordability is at historic lows. Mortgage rates are high. And every signal I see tells me this market is going to correct hard in the next 12 to 24 months. If you buy now, you're buying at the peak. You're going to lose money. You're going to be trapped in a property you can't sell without taking a massive loss. You're going to spend years recovering from a decision you made in a moment of fear and pressure. But if you follow the plan I just gave you, if you rent cheaply, save aggressively, invest wisely, and wait patiently, you're going to be in a position to buy when the market crashes. You're going to get properties at 30 to 40% discounts. You're going to build wealth while everyone else is losing it. Now, I know most of you won't do this. You'll watch this video, you'll nod along, you'll say it makes sense, and then you'll go buy a house anyway, because your real estate agent convinced you, because your parents pressured you, because you're scared of missing out. And in 2 years, you'll wish you had listened. I've been doing this for 50 years. I've seen this cycle repeat over and over. And the people who win are never the ones who buy at the peak. They're the ones who have the discipline to wait. So here's my challenge to you. Prove me wrong. Show me you're different. Show me you can delay gratification. Show me you can ignore social pressure and make the smart financial decision even when it's hard. Commit to this plan for 2026. Rent instead of buy. Save instead of spend. Invest instead of speculate. And in 12 months, come back and tell me where you are. Because I already know where you'll be. You'll be in a better financial position than 95% of the people who bought property this year. You'll have options. You'll have cash. You'll have investments. And you'll be ready to buy when the opportunity actually arrives. That's how you build wealth. Not by following the crowd, but by thinking independently and having the courage to do what's right, even when everyone around you is doing what's wrong. I'm 86 years old. I've lived through more market cycles than most people have been alive, and I'm telling you, as clearly as I can, do not buy property in 2026. Wait, save, invest, and buy when the market crashes. Your future self will thank you. Drop a comment telling me if you're committed to renting and saving in 2026, or if you're still tempted to buy. Subscribe, so we keep working on this together. And if this helped you see the truth about the real estate market, hit like and share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'll see you in the next video.